RG film with color as realistic as the color of life. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Quaker State, the Big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. And by Dodge, America's best back trucks are Ram Tough. Welcome to Rochester and the start of the fall tour here at MARCEL'S Olympic Bowl, the Kodak Invitational. The crop qualifiers here. John Gant, the only lefty to make the top 24, second this year in the scoring average. Randy Peterson, the young Californian, goes for his second win of the year. Buffalo's Tom Baker seems to find the fall tour a special time. Walter Ray Williams, the tour's leading money winner, makes his 8th TV final appearance. And Steve Wunderlich, a 7-year veteran, goes for his first ever PBA singles title. And a very pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the fall tour on NBC. Jay Randolph along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. This is the time of the year when it gets very interesting. The scoring average, the money, and the Hall of Fame, of course, for somebody down the road maybe, but more importantly, Bowler of the Year.
Bowler of the Year, and Walter Ray is definitely in the running. He's the leading money winner right now, Jay, and he's in position to win his, just take over everything, just dominate completely at this point. What makes it even more exciting, we've probably got the most powerful ball on the tour in John Gant, the left-hander, the only one in the top 5, so it could be very exciting.
Some contrasting styles, and as we always like to do for you, let's get right to the action here. It's been a wonderful week in Rochester. The Pro-Am earlier this week, the youth clinics, and now we're down to Gant and Petersen in this first match of the afternoon. There is Petersen, 6'2", 165 pounds, the youngest of the 5 finalists. He averaged 214.4 this week from out in Santa Maria, California. Big crowd watching with you. Hope you'll enjoy it wherever you are as we're underway. Nice way to start.
It's a great way to start, not only for Randy, but for us in the fall tour, Jay. We have a lot of contrast in style here. You can see Randy is basically a stroker, and coming up, as I mentioned earlier, one of the most powerful balls in bowling, John Gant.
Gant is 6'2", 190 pounds. And he is left with a split right off the bat.
In talking to Mr. Gant a little earlier, Jay, he mentioned that the lanes are a little different for him today. He's playing a little bit more toward the inside of the lane, and he's switched to a different bowling ball that doesn't hook quite as much. But look at still the turn, the rotation he gets on the ball, breaks a little too soon. Great camera angle. You can see the ball cut through the heart of the pins.
Well, he gave it a try.
Gave it a try.
Gant is open in the first.
If you're going to make a mistake, you want to make it early. It's easier to pick it up with 9 frames to go. Randy Petersen definitely at the advantage by starting with a strike, but John Gant has the kind of ball he can throw strikes forever.
He's 29 years of age, and as we've indicated to you, very strong. He is a powerhouse. He punishes the pins. He really does.
There's just a sample, Jay, of the tremendous power he has in the ball arcing out almost to the channel, all the way back to the pocket from a lay-down point on the lane of inside the 3rd arrow.
Petersen had a high game of 277 here this week and averaged 236 on the TV pair.
Got a good break there, Jay. It could have been a split. It could have been the big split that Mr. Gant got in the first frame, but he got away with it. You see the ball doing almost the identical thing, cutting through the heart of the pins, and by knocking out that 2-pin, or excuse me, the 3-pin, it made the spare a lot easier.
And he's looking at the 610. Picks it up. Petersen has been a PBA member for 6 years. He's up by 12 pins. This is a $150,000 event. $27,000 first prize. A 310 leave for Petersen.
Almost the same spare shot he had in the frame before when he had the 610. He's going to try to do the same thing when he goes cross lane. You see the ball cutting again through the heart of the pins and leaving what they call the baby split. Making a little adjustment to his thumb hole there, and the bowler will do that. He'll put some tape in or take it out as his hand swells a little or goes down, or if he feels uncomfortable that he might be dropping the ball. And when a bowler is dropping the ball, that's usually what happens. It goes through the heart of the pins.
The conditions change physically for the players.
A lot of speed.
And Petersen is open in the third. Both of these fellas having a little trouble getting going.
Little television jitters to start out with. They're both experienced players. I'm sure they'll get going here shortly.
7th career championship round appearance for Big John Gant from Independence, Kentucky. And another split.
The nemesis of the big hook right there, and whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you'll see this type of split being left when you see the powerful wrist turn of John Gant. The ball goes way out but doesn't get back quite soon enough for a very difficult spare. John's going to try to make this ball cross in front of the 3-pin. The ball will take out the 6 and have the 3-pin fly across the lane and take out the 7.
And now we come back live, and he was trying to cut down the 3-6-7. Just missed it.
As you can see by the style of players, they all throw the ball, except for Tom Baker, fairly hard. And they all overpower the first part of the lane, which is the head area, which tends to break down or get dry as bowling goes on. And by being able to do that, that's why they're in the top 5 this week.
And another split for Gant. The 6-7. He had the highest scoring average on the summer tour.
He did, and with that powerful ball, if he can get it in play, and he's having that problem right now, getting it in play, by play I mean in the pocket area, he can score or strike with anybody that ever threw a bowling ball. But right now, John just can't get it in play. Another difficult split.
Almost converted it. We've had 4 splits in 7 frames. We'll be back with more from Rochester, New York, right after this.
Introducing Kodacolor VRG, film that captures the color of power.
Petersen has struck in the 4th, but left a 3-6-10 and only got the 6-10 in the 5th. Here's Gant coming back with a strike in the 5th.
Chance to narrow that deficit. He's down 12 pins at this point. He could get it to 2 pins with another strike here, and we've got a match going, Jay. Even though it's low scoring, the players don't really care what their score is as long as they win.
Gant finished 16th in this event last year and picked up $2,100. Chance to battle back. He does. And the lead is 2 for Petersen.
Tripped the 4-pin, the result of a good rolling bowling ball. The ball, he has a high roll, and the high rolling type ball, rather than the ball that's turned very hard sideways or spinning, will carry the 4-pin better. And you watch Randy's tremendous leverage at the foul line, a good extension out over the lane, and the expression on his face. He knows he got a little break there. Now if he can just take advantage with a double here.
Randy, as a teenager, Got into the 80 Syracuse Open as an amateur and did very well.
Great hospitality from the wonderful folks with Eastman Kodak this week. Gant down 12. Trying for the turkey right here on lane 34.
And another split.
Oh, and a bad break, Jay. The 7-pin was going to go. He had that pin rolling across there to knock out the 7. Watch the hit. This is the replay. You'll see the ball throw the 5-pin in behind the 10-pin. The head pin comes off the wall, rolls all the way across the lane, hits the 7, but the rack came down and stopped it from falling.
He's looking at the bedposts.
A lot of speed, cross lane. He's looking for it to bounce. Didn't get it. Looks like somebody took a shotgun to the score sheet. All those big holes up there.
Oh, I'll tell you, he's down 26 pins to Pedersen right now. And he really must mount a charge very quickly.
Still in the pins, though. It's still a chance for him. He can strike out for 189. Randy Pedersen going into a 185 clip right now.
That one got there. His 5th appearance in the championship round this year. He's finished 3rd every time.
He's going to have to get it going to get to 3rd this week, Jay.
A little high and a split for Pedersen.
All week long, as I watched him match play, the bowlers were having trouble with the lanes changing. They do change very drastically here at Olympic Bowl. And as they change, the ball overreacts. As you see, Randy thought he made a good shot there. The ball cut through the pins very quickly. Break point a little sooner than he expected it, and you can see his reaction. 4-6-7. Go for the 4-7.
Last year, Randy appeared in the TV finals twice. He and teammate Warren Nelson were 5th in the Showboat PBA Doubles Classic out in Vegas. The Tucson Open later in the summer tour, Randy seeded 2nd, and he lost his opening game to the eventual winner, David Ozio.
Eighth frame shot. Very important.
Got the job done.
That was a 9th frame shot, and I said 8th frame. I meant the 9th frame shot. It's the tee shot. It's something to go into the 10th frame and build on. He can still, no matter what Gant does, by striking out in the 10th, Randy Pedersen can still win this match. John Gant needs a strike to almost even the match. Lots of speed.
I mentioned earlier that he was the only left-hander to make the top 24. And I think maybe it's indicative that it just hasn't been the left-hander's week here.
It hasn't, and as the lanes change, and you see John moving more and more to the center lane, trying to throw it, loft it out of the lane farther with more speed. And when you do that, you lose control. And John, if you watch him when he comes up at the foul line, it means he's really throwing hard and trying to get everything into it. Perfect cover, the ball fitting directly between the 2 and the 7. It's amazing that John's ball will even bounce into that 7, as much rotation as he puts on it.
Left the 7 last year. Gant won better than $33,000. His current earnings this season better than $47,000.
The direct result of the ball previously going through the middle of the head pin. He makes the adjustment. It doesn't come back. John is completely lost on the lanes. Still has a chance, even though he's going at a 158 pace. Make the 7 pin. Right back. And Randy Pedersen would then need a mark to win the match.
Gant won the Ohio State All Events title in '82 and '83. His wife, Bev, is a physician, and they recently have moved back to the Cincinnati area.
John knows what the score is. He knows he needs every pin to make Randy Petersen mark. And he got them all.
And for Gant, 158.
Randy Petersen were to split here, get 9. Since he's on a strike, it would be a tie match at 158. If he marks in any way whatsoever, he'll be the winner.
All right.
Got it when he needed it.
He sure did. He comes through, and Petersen is the winner here over Gant. The first match of the afternoon here in Rochester in the Kodak Invitational. The PBA Tour coming back here last year after a 5-year layoff. Now the second year that Kodak and the bowling fans of the area have had so much fun. Petersen finishing off here in fine fashion. To get himself together, as he will be facing Tom Baker. Petersen has a rather effortless style, very smooth, and he's going to finish with a 187. So it is Randy Petersen, the winner, and he'll go against Tom Baker when we come back.
Progrin, the old veteran, coming back to try his hand at the tour again.
Carmen Salvino, one of the originals. He was at that New Jersey motel in '58 with Eddie Elias when it all started.
That's right. Mike Edwards coming back. He's starting to get back in shape again. He's had a tough year up till now.
Monticelli, Hemletto from Venezuela had a 300 game here this week. Two gentlemen tied for 16th, Brian Voss and Mark Sullivan.
My old friend Steve Martin, he's back bowling good again after all those wrist injuries he's had in the past.
Harry Sullins picks up $2,500. Gentleman from Flagstaff with $2,800 to his credit. Dave Husted, he's been going good of late.
And Hall of Famer Les Dykes back in there. That's great.
Jim Bensek, he was very tough here last night. And the man on the bubble, number 6, Dale Ballard. It'll be Baker going against Petersen. More action from Rochester right after this. Better than $516,000 in his career.
Tom Baker, obviously the player with the most experience, both in longevity and, of course, on television.
Petersen starts on 33 and strikes him.
Now, here's a chance to see some really drastic contradictions in style. Randy Petersen, big, tall, and strong, throws the ball very hard. Tom Baker, 5'8", 150 pounds, and he's what we call a stroker. Soft, speed, really tries to be precise with the shot.
The old smoothie.
The old
I mentioned right at the top of the show that Baker, who is the oldest of the 5 finalists here and has his now 10th year on tour, loves this fall tour. It's kind of his time of the year. There's his wife, Lisa. Last year, Tom reached the TV finals 3 times, all on the fall tour. Well, it had to hurry, and it did.
I think the scores are going to improve a little, Jay, as you get a little more experience on the telecast, and Randy's got the 1 game under his belt. He's a little more relaxed now. Expect him to make the adjustments that are necessary to keep the ball in play.
Petersen with a 187 in his first game to defeat Gant.
A little over adjustment there, Jay.
It didn't get up. He had 7 strikes in the first game. And he's left the 2.
As you can see, Randy has moved more to the center of the lane, and that's the adjustments that players have made all week. As the ball is hooked a little bit too much on the back end, they've moved more to the center. It's a good break for Randy, only leaving the 2-pin, an easy spare, a lot of speed, and right at it.
The proprietor of the Olympic lanes here, Marcel Fournier, and his missus alongside. What a great host he is. A little high, and he's left the 3-6.
And as you can see by his reaction, he's not very happy with the way he's performing. Randy, after getting that first game win under his belt, should be making the proper adjustments by now. And he's just not keeping his speed constant. He's not releasing the ball the same way twice in a row. And the ball's just not going to end up where he wants it to if he can't be consistent with his release. Scores overall have been just a little bit on the low side for what you might consider the average professional tournament, but they've been very competitive, Jay. The matches have been close all week and have been very exciting for the fans. And that's what we expect to see on the telecast today. Tom Baker, the player with the most experience of all our finalists, Walter Ray might be the second one, again up on lane 34, going for 3 in a row.
Didn't get there. The 2, 4, 5 are standing.
Tommy was happy with that release. He thought he got the ball to the break point he wanted. It was just a little bit too far down the lane, came in behind the head pin. And this has been one of the most difficult shots all week to cover. You see Tom, he's a fidgeter. He has to get that thumb just right in the hole. Going down the left-hand side of the lane. Great coverage.
269, the high game for Baker this week. And he averaged 226 on the TV pair. He is up by 9 over Pedersen. One of his hobbies, playing the horses. He's a man after my own heart. He's quite a hockey fan, too.
I heard you just returned from the Breeders' Cup. Did you enjoy it out there?
I had a great week. It was very special.
Another great NBC telecast.
And down they go for Tom Baker. Baker leading by 9. Back with more of this match after these messages. Fourth has just gotten a re-rack. Here he is down 10 pins, bowling in the 5th.
Randy's having a lot of trouble maintaining his speed control. He's making adjustments, and a lot of times when a bowler makes this many adjustments in a one-game match, he can't remember what the good shots were and what the bad ones were, Jay, and he can get himself in a lot of trouble. And that's what Randy seems to have done. He's over-adjusting, it looks like to me. He's hitting the ball harder. He's trying to get more rotation, more speed. Then he's cutting down speed and cutting down turn. He's getting confused.
Well, that can happen to a young bowler, of course, who is confronted with these changing lane conditions that we have in the television finals. Baker's been around the block before. Many times.
Many times. You see how he fidgets with that thumb hole. It has to be just right, or Tom's not going to do anything. He has to be perfect before he starts.
All right. Tom won his 6th career title in the Budweiser Classic, Columbus, Ohio, when he beat Storm DeVincent 183 to 181 for that championship.
The perfect form of Tom Baker, the concentration, the knee bend, the extension. Look at the balance. That's what you look for, folks. If a bowler's timing is good, he's going to be balanced at the foul line. And Tom Baker, right now, his timing is perfect.
They call him Bakes. His wife, Lisa, looking on, trying to grab some air in here.
Would you say she's nervous?
Three in a row for Baker. And his lead is 32.
Randy Pedersen has had some shots that got away from him. He's been fortunate. He hasn't had any splits this game. He's had some easy spares on shots that could have been very difficult spares. He has to get some strikes going now, or it's going to be too late.
Oh, right on the head pin.
Again, he got a good break, though. He got away with it. Only the 3-6 left. And Randy is confused. As you can see by the look on his face, he's changing speeds and he's changing angles, and nothing seems to get the reaction he wants. That ball looked good till the last couple of feet, and again through the heart of the head pin. A lot of speed, cross lane at the spare.
A 34-pin lead for Baker. Pedersen getting set here in the 7th. The first PBA Tour event was won by Lou Wrongfoot Campy. Remember that? Right here in the Empire State in Albany, New York, back in 1959.
That was before my time, Jay.
It was before your time, but I'm sure a lot of folks remember.
I think Chuck Pierce was bowling then, but I'm not sure.
Chuck handling our stats, the man from Texas. More problems for Randy Pedersen.
Well, he's been flirting with that with every shot he's thrown in this match, and it finally up-jumped the devil right through the heart again. And the big 4, Randy will throw a lot of speed, try to get something to bounce out of the pit area.
Well, he almost converted it. Baker's in control. More in a moment. Be passing out the green stuff later on this afternoon. Some of the folks, Roger Morrison there, Linda McLaughlin, these people from Kodak do a marvelous job, and Kodak employs better than 50,000 people in the greater Rochester area.
It's a big shot in the arm for the economy around here, Jay. Without Kodak, Rochester would be in a little bit of trouble, I think.
Well, in trouble right now is Randy Pedersen, the man from Buffalo, and certainly one of the favorites here because he's from just down the road. Tom Baker. He's shaking his head. He thought he was going to get more than that.
Well, that's the same result he got in the 3rd frame after starting with a double. He almost an identical shot. He thought he had the ball where he wanted it with the right speed, the right rotation, and it just kind of hung out there a little bit. The lanes have been a little tricky all week, and as I mentioned earlier, when he did leave this in the 3rd frame, this has been the most difficult spare the players have had, any combination of the bucket.
And it's the 2-4-5.
And that's why. It either hooks early or it slides by it, and they've had a lot of trouble with it.
Baker is open for the first time in the match.
As you can see from our low-angle camera, a great view of how the ball reacts going into the pins, and he just cut right in front of the 5-pin, took out the 2 and the 4.
Glenn Adamo, our producer, Brian Sipe directing, and our crew bringing you the sights and sounds of the Fall Tour on NBC. And Baker bombs right back.
And you can see by the smile on his face that he feels he got a little lucky there. The ball was a little light in the pocket and scattered him out, and that's that good rotation and good ball control, good speed. Randy's bowling for a little experience right now. The match, you could say, is almost over. But Randy still wants to make a good presentation of himself on the lanes and make good shots. Made a big adjustment there. He moved from the center of the lane to outside the 2nd arrow to try to see if he could get some kind of a better ball reaction there. And this is what you might call a track center, a track house. The lanes are, there's a lot of play between the 2nd and 3rd arrow, and that's where most of the balls are thrown, so there's more friction there. So you either play inside of that or you play outside of it. And Randy tried to play outside of it for the first time today.
And he didn't get the 8-pin, now he does. Pedersen is, as we mentioned, just 24, the youngest of the 5 finalists. He finished 9th in the Kessler Open and in the Austin Open. Oh, and another split. Well, a frustrating afternoon as Pedersen, of course, got his victory over Gant to get going, but now is going down to defeat Baker. $27,000 first place, $14,000 for second, $8,000 for third. And we move down to $6,500 and $5,500. Now, this one's in the books for Baker.
It is, most definitely, but still a nice paycheck for John Gant and, of course, for Randy Pedersen.
Darrell, we talked right at the top of the show about the fall tour success that Baker has had as he strikes again. It seems, as I said, that this is kind of a special time of the year for him. He makes his charge this time of the year.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe he needs the rest of the year to get warmed up, Jay. What do you think?
Well, Christmas is coming, right?
That could be it. At least it says Christmas coming, right?
Well, we'll stay with this match and watch Baker in action.
Tommy led this tournament for almost the whole event. He was either first, second, third, or somewhere in that area. So he's been very consistent all week, Jay, and he's starting to show how he's made the adjustments. As you saw the shot on lane 33, just like the others he's thrown there, but the shot on 34, just previous to that in the 9th frame, he made the adjustment from leaving that bucket to a tighter line. I think he's really ready for the next match.
He's 18 300 games in his professional bowling career. He sure seems comfortable here this afternoon.
He does, and he's trying a few things out there to see what kind of a ball reaction he'd get.
So it's going to be Baker. Back once again here in Rochester, New York at the Olympic Bowl, and Baker the winner, 230 to 173 over Randy Pedersen. Pedersen finishing with 3 strikes, but Baker showing his veteran and overall acumen, as you might say. I mean, he was really smooth here.
He is. Baker's that kind of a player. Now, there are very contrasting styles in our top 5, Jay. We have Tom Baker, who throws the ball soft but spins it through the first part of the lane. The other players tend to get a lot more side roll on the ball, but they throw a lot harder. They throw it over the first part of the lane. That's why they made the top 5. They're all sharp this week, and Baker's making good adjustments.
Earl, it's always nice to be with you on the fall tour on NBC Sports. This time of the year...
Thank you, Jay.
Well, that's all right, no problem. But, you know, at this time of the year, it gets very interesting, and we do have Walter Ray Williams, of course, who's having a fine year coming up. We're going to get to see him in action, and of course we've got this scoring average that I mentioned earlier, the Bowler of the Year honors, and over these next 5 weeks it's going to be great fun for us.
It is, and we've got the Brunswick World Open, of course, and we've got the Touring Players Championship. We've got some excellent, outstanding events coming up. And as you mentioned, Jay, the Bowler of the Year race is still hot and heavy with Steve Cook, the big lefty from California, right in there. And, of course, we've got the perennial, it seems like challenging every year, but never quite made it, Marshall Holman.
Marshall, of course, had a big year here last year. He was the winner here. He did make a check this week, but he was out playing golf at Oak Hill yesterday.
Yeah, and he wouldn't let me go. Then I was happy because it rained.
Let's take a look for you and let you know about the tour stops on the fall tour. Next Saturday, we'll be in Mike Alby's hometown, Indianapolis, Indiana, the $135,000 True Value Open. And then, of course, on the 22nd, as Earl mentioned, the Brunswick Memorial World Open. And that's at Glendale Heights, a Chicago suburb. And the Budweiser Classic will come your way. Columbus, Ohio, $150,000 tournament. On December the 6th, we'll have the Budweiser Touring Players Championship at Taylor, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. So lots of action coming up with you. We're on the air, remember, at 2 o'clock Eastern Time each Saturday afternoon. Tom Baker will go against Walter Ray Williams, Jr. when we come back to the Olympic Bowl in Rochester, New York, right after these messages. Back here, a reminder that the Kodak Invitational first prize is $27,000. And a reminder, too, about Kapalua. Oh, what a pretty place that is. Hope you'll be watching the action from over on the island of Maui here on NBC. Baker will begin play. This crowd applauding Tom Baker of Buffalo, New York, as he goes against Walter Ray Williams, Jr.
And they don't get any easier as you go up the ladder. Walter Ray having a great year, his 8th appearance on the championship 5.
The veteran starts out in good shape. He had the 230 with 8 strikes in his victory. And now there's your first look at Walter Ray Williams, Jr. Qualified second with that 215.5 average. An extremely talented gentleman. Hand-eye coordination of the first magnitude. Got a break there.
Trying to play basically the same part of the lane with the same direction down the lane that Randy Pedersen was using. And Walter Ray, with a different type of roll, doesn't quite hook the ball as much on the back end of the lane as Randy did. Might be able to keep it in play a little more because he doesn't cross as many boards. He switches balls, a ball that doesn't hook as much, so he can go directly out the spare, the 4-7.
Walter Ray, 27 years old, Stockton, California. Many times the world horseshoe pitching champion. Before that, the world junior horseshoe pitching champion. I'll tell you a funny story about a little match he had up here earlier this week in a moment. And he reacts to that big strike right there. He was with a friend of his who's the New York champion in horseshoe pitching earlier this week, and they had a horseshoe pitching match, and Walter Ray won that. And then they came into the lanes here and had a little bowling match, and the New York champion beat Walter Ray.
Beat Walter Ray. Maybe they're the wrong vocation.
Baker opens with a double. First championship round appearance this year, but as we have reiterated to you, he was very, very hot in the fall tour last year. It's Tom's dad, Henry, who has come over from Buffalo. Lisa, his wife. Henry Hank Baker, a proud papa.
Watch the balance, the good extension, the turn around the side of the ball to make it skid a long ways. Then you can see the ball turn over going into the pins. Tom was real happy with that shot, and it looked awful good to me. Cross lane at the 10 pin.
Walter Ray Williams, the money leader. Steve Cook and Marshall Holman and Dave Husted all over $100,000. They just kept dropping for him down there.
They did. Walter, when he released this ball, I don't see how he could have been very happy with it. He just almost didn't get it off his hand. He just threw it down there, and almost like he was throwing one of those horseshoes rather than a bowling ball. Got a good break. You can see the pins toppling like dominoes. Left an easy spare, only the 4 pin.
Williams captured his first PBA title in the True Value Open in Peoria, Illinois. And Williams ranks 4th in the average leaders. John Gant, who you saw earlier in the number 2 spot, Dave Husted up on top.
What a summer Dave Husted had. Boy, it's one of the best ever. Walter Ray having one of the best years ever.
And he is left to 3-6-10. I mentioned True Value, of course. Our friends at True Value will offer $100,000 for a perfect game on the fall tour as we look again at this shot. And next week in Indianapolis, a perfect game will be worth $200,000.
I'd have trouble getting a double for that kind of money, Jay, much less a 300 game. Sometimes the players outthink themselves a little bit, and Walter Ray, using a ball that will not hook so he can be more accurate, cover his spares, had it slide right by the 3-pin, taking out only the 6 and the 10. You see the ball sliding, not really rolling, sliding by the pins.
That ball very slick.
Very slick.
So Baker is up by 23. Bowling in the 4th, lane 34.
And there again, if you remember his last match, that's the shot that he left the bucket on twice, or part of the bucket on twice. Almost had that leave again. The ball gets right to the point where he thinks it should turn into the pocket, and it starts to slip a little bit. And that's because the oil carries down on the lanes, and there's not much you can do about that. You just have to adjust to it.
Baker won the Steve Nagy Sportsmanship Award back in '82 and also in '81. That award, one I know he's proud of because it's voted by the players.
That's right, and Tommy exemplifies good sportsmanship, whether he's bowling good or bad. He's got the right kind of image that the PBA players like to present. Now, if you remember earlier, we mentioned that the lanes here at Olympic Bowl changed drastically. And as you can see by the reaction of the players' bowling balls, they are a little lost right now. And all week long this has happened. They'll be making adjustments, and the adjustments they've been making for Tom Baker, for example, was to change his hand position so he could get a different rotation on the ball, move more to the center of the lane, and catch the track area farther down the lane to delay the break. Right now, they're in the middle of a transition period, and they've got to be very careful, because if they get too far in, the ball slides by the head pin. If they don't get far enough, it hooks through the middle, and that's the trouble Walter Ray is having, the trouble that Tom Baker's had in his last 2 shots. As the lanes change, they have to make that adjustment. Once the change is made completely, then they're okay. But right now, they're in a transition period.
Baker opening with a double and then 3 spares. Walter Ray Williams down by 20.
Tremendous lock.
He scrambled him that time.
We're going to get a chance to show you exactly what Walter Ray is trying to accomplish. Watch the swing. Now watch the ball go well out over the lane. That ball is in the air for 8 or 9 feet. And the reason he's doing that is so that he can delay the hook. You see the ball stayed on line that time rather than cutting through the middle of the head pin. He's trying to make the ball, he knows it won't hook in the air, so he's trying to get it well down the lane before anything can take effect.
Williams down by 20.
Again, that tremendous lock, lots of speed.
Well, he seems to have a feel for it now.
He's made the change. Now let's see if Tommy can make the adjustment on the right-hand lane. This one's the one that he's had trouble getting the ball to finish on. The left lane, he's come up too high on the head pin. Look at the concentration, the desire. He wants it bad. A lot of strength in that. Conversely, look at the stroke of Tom Baker, soft and smooth. Tried to make the adjustment and paid the full price. Boy, that's why, again, the scores haven't been that high this week, because when the players have made the adjustment during this little point of transition, they've had a lot of problems. Tom made the adjustment, tried to go more direct. As you see, he's inside the 3rd arrow. The ball broke right at that point and went through the middle of the head pin. Takes 3 out of the right-hand corner. And the match is changing hands right now.
Baker finds himself now down by 7. Greek church a moment ago. Oof, that's a toughie. Well, he thought he deserved a little bit better than that.
Sure did. Now that's the kind of pin action you get when the ball hits very hard. Takes the 5 pin and sends it behind the 7. And Tom, you watch the 5 pin go over there, behind the 7 pin, and nothing touched the 4. Very unusual leave.
And he cuts down the 4-pin. Baker is down by 7. We'll be back with more of the PBA Tour after this from your local station. Up on top of an 8-story building. It's very windy, and they put a couple stakes in the ground, and he was showing the folks over there how to play horseshoes, and he had 85% ringers in a little match he had over there. That's something.
It's below his average, Jay.
Well, he's tough. Oh, he leaves the 10.
Walter was really happy with his shot. He threw it where he wanted and how he wanted. See the ball rotating, picking up the roll, breaking in just slightly behind the head pin. That's normally when you leave the 10-pin. Again, he is going cross lane, switching bowling balls. Remember, he missed the last very shot with this ball. That's perfect.
He's covered that one. Walter Ray says that his goal in bowling is to be the PBA Player of the Year. And he is well on his way at this point in the proceedings in the 1986 season. Williams up by 6. We're in the 8th frame. Very interesting matches, low scoring here, but the competition has been tight all week. Last night was something here in the position round.
4 players could have led the tournament going into the last game. 4 different players with 1 game to go. This is a difficult spare that Walter's left here, the 3-6 now. In order to cover this, he has to get enough of the 3-pin to get the ball to finish in and take out the 9, but if he gets it too wide, it won't do it. If he cuts it too short, it'll hook in front and will leave the 6. A lot of combinations to miss it, not too many to make it. Perfect.
Very well done. That camera shot, I think, gave you a very good view of that one. Will it be Williams or Baker who face the man waiting in the wings, as Harry Golden would say, Steve Wonderly? Mr. Golden, our tournament chairman, as usual, tournament director for the PBA. Baker's not done.
That was a key shot for Tom right there. The strike in the 8th frame on the lane he's had the most problems with, lane 34. He's going now to the lane 33. He has more confidence on that lane. He knows the ball will come back for him or finish stronger on lane 33. He'll give this a little room. Tom's had a lot of experience. I expect him to make a good shot here. Give it a little room, let the ball finish for him in the back end, and he's looking to hope he carries that 10-pin.
Seven finishes in the top 24 this year for Baker.
Tommy didn't like that one, Jay. He feels very fortunate. He made a good shot. But he got the trip on the 4-pin. The look on Lisa's face is unbelievable.
And that picture pretty much tells the story right there. All right, Lisa. Williams now down by 7. Right.
Again, you can see the completely contrasting styles of the 2 players. Hard, very hard, a lot of speed, a lot of loft for Walter Ray Williams. Tom Baker, the finesse player, stroking the ball, trying to make it react at a certain point on the lane.
Williams, 34 of his games this week over 200.
That's phenomenal based on the lane conditions, the variety of lane conditions the players had to compete on. A key shot right here to take the lead.
And he is a very disgusted bowler as he left the 3-6-10.
So you can see he pulled that ball a little bit, Jay. Again, he's trying to get so much speed on the ball that he just pulled it across in front of him a little bit, and he knew it as soon as he let go. This is not an easy spare. The 3-6-10 can be missed and made in a variety of ways.
And again, he's using that other ball. Through. Slick bowling
At this
ball.
point, only 7 pins down. Anything can happen, as you've already seen in our previous matches. It's fairly easy to get splits and very hard to get strikes. So Walter Ray definitely going to get as many pins as he can and put the pressure back on Tom Baker.
Again, lots of loft. Overcompensated again. It pulled the ball before, now came up a little short.
That's not unusual to make an adjustment on a shot that, under this kind of circumstances, you don't really want to admit you might have made a little bit of an error there, so you make an adjustment on something that was a physical error. Now, Tom Baker needing really just a mark to close out the match. He'll take his time and fidget. The right-hand lane has been the tough lane for Tom Baker, and to finish in the 10th frame with this kind of pressure, needing to get any kind of a mark to win this match, to go into the championship match, he made the smart play. He played it wide. He didn't get the big split. An easy spare.
And Baker will move into the championship match. And a reminder, of course, well, he needs 2 pins. I better just hold up. But
stay behind the foul line, keep it on the lane.
That's right. A reminder, of course, that NBC Sports, as an exclusive of our fall tour coverage, will have an uninterrupted championship match for you, as we have in the last 2 seasons. Now I can say it. There he is. He moves to the championship match. Score of 198 for Baker. And Lisa with a little hug, and Baker with the opportunity, of course, to move forward against Steve Wunderlich. Now, Baker, as the fall tour gets underway, has come over from Buffalo, and he's got a chance to win it all, but Wunderlich, of course, is standing in his way. Gant taking $5,500, then Pedersen $6,500, and now Williams walks away from the action with $8,000. Oh, the championship match again will be Steve Wunderlich of St. Louis against Tom Baker of Buffalo. There they are. Back to the Olympic Bowl, Rochester, New York, and don't forget tomorrow some very interesting confrontations. NFL football action. I'll be over in Buffalo, where the Steelers are coming to call. All of the action kicking off at 12:30. San Diego and Denver, and the Raiders and Dallas, a couple of attractive late games. Now to the championship match here in the Kodak Invitational. $27,000 first prize. Buffalo's Tom Baker and Steve Wunderlich from St. Louis, Missouri. The home, of course, of the Bowling Hall of Fame. And Earl, I was out there with you not too many weeks ago when they opened that wonderful new photo of you and that display. Very nice.
It was very nice, Jay, and I appreciated you being there, partner.
Baker underway, and he leaves the 2-pin. Baker has defeated Pedersen 230 to 173. Williams 198 to 189. There's the Kodak Invitational Trophy. Beautiful Steuben glass.
All right, again, the contrast. Now, so far today, Tom Baker, the stroker, the soft speed, has made the adjustments. He's kept the ball in play enough to be a winner. And he's beat all the power players. He's got one left to go, and Steve Wunderlich. A lot of speed, a lot of loft, and a lot of forward roll.
And, oh, that looked good, but he left the 10. Wunderlich, 6 feet tall, 165 pounds, 28 years old. 7th year on the tour out of St. Louis. Career earnings of better than $280,000.
Here's Steve Wunderlich, the classic style. Look at the tremendous loft and lift on the ball, so he can get it well down the lane before it starts gripping. It turns in, but a little weak.
Wonderlic was so intense, and he agonized in that position round last night, beating Tom Baker. And both men open with spares. Wonderlic, 15th career championship round appearance, his 3rd appearance in the TV finals this year. In the LA Open, he finished 5th.
You mentioned something earlier, Jay, that was kind of unique about Steve's championships.
Yes, he has never won a PBA singles title. He's won a doubles title and a couple of other events, of course, outside of the tour. And the 7-pin is left standing. In '82, Steve led the PBA National Tour with 4 perfect games.
Again, the good balance with the good lift and loft of Steve Wonderlic, but you see the ball come in behind the headpin slightly. Not quite enough in the back end. Now, Steve is a little pumped up right now. The adrenaline's flowing. He's throwing the ball maybe just a little bit too far out in the lane, a little bit too hard. So it's not picking up the heavy roll he normally gets on the back end.
Oh, that was an anxious moment for him right there.
He's better off. Steve Wonderlic is better off throwing the ball a little too hard and keeping it light in the pocket early in the match, so he stays in the match, than he would be if he was soft and hitting the middle of the headpin, getting those big splits.
Baker with that 214.45 average this week. First strike of the match.
Tom Baker now bowling on his favorite lane, lane 33, the one he's had the most success on, looking for a double to take the early lead.
The double for Baker, and he has an 11-pin lead.
Now we'll see if Steve does make an adjustment at this point. Remember, his first 2 balls were a little behind the headpin. He had tremendous speed and loft on the ball, got it well out over the foul line in the air to delay the roll. He's going to have to cut that speed down or that loft down to get the ball to carry. Let's see what he does here. Too much cut, and he'll hit the middle of the headpin. He's got to be careful. A little earlier, it's coming harder. There it is. Professional adjustment by a tremendously talented player right there.
Cindy Wonderlic, Steve's wife, on hand. Steve last night had his high game of the week at 279 that vaulted him into the top spot. And he averaged 217 on the TV pair. Wonderlic down by 11. Early going, championship match, Kodak Invitational, $27,000 first prize.
And you won't miss the shot.
NBC's exclusive coverage, uninterrupted, as always, of the championship match.
A little earlier.
10-pin.
Good adjustment by Steve, and it looked like the ball was rotating well, going into the pocket at the right angle. Just hit a little weak. Didn't quite pick up the heavy roll that he wants on the back end. You see the ball make the break right there. Looks like it's coming in at a good angle, and the 10-pin.
And the reaction.
He liked it. You can see that, and he's very disappointed. Cross lane at the 10-pin. Again, Steve is the type player who likes to use a lot of speed, and you'll see that as you go across the lane at the 10-pin here.
You ask Steve what his goals are for this year, and he says to improve on last year. And he's taking a giant step toward doing that. Last year, he won $87,000 plus. So far this year, better than $38,000. Baker up by 11 in the 4th. A little slow getting there.
And there it is again. All through the 3 matches that Tommy has bowled to this point, this is his 3rd match. He's had the same problem on lane 34. He likes the shot. He basically got it where he wanted to on the lane with the release, the speed he wanted, but it gets to that little point right there and hangs. When it should start turning in, it hangs. And Tommy has really struggled on this lane. Again, this is a very tough spare.
The 2, 4, 5.
Good coverage.
The scoring as it looks at this point in the championship match of the Kodak Invitational. Next week we'll be at the Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana. $135,000 true value hardware open, and don't forget, on that occasion, perfect games worth $200,000.
Boy, that's a lot of money, Jay. $200,000.
You going to come out of retirement for that kind of money?
Not the way I'm bowling, Jay.
And a 7 is standing.
When you consider these bowlers are bowling 1 game for $27,000 first place, a total of $41,000 for first and second, that's a lot of pressure. And any mistake could mean the difference between winning and losing a championship. It's amazing they perform as well as they do, Jay.
There's the prize money again. Wunderlich, seated number 1, down by 7.
Steve is so close. He's had all 4 balls in the pocket, the first 4 frames. Only struck once. Again.
There for him. This is only the 7th finish in the top 24 for Steve this year in 26 events. He's cashed in 13 of the tournaments.
He's making a little adjustment, going more direct with more speed and trying to get a heavier end-over-end roll so the ball doesn't cut through. He got the hit he wanted on the back end. He got the ball to hit hard, but just a little bit too much of the head pin.
This week, a 215 average. On the year, a 209.
Steve, a very intelligent player. He makes very minute adjustments with his hand, so he gets a slightly different rotation on the ball, so it'll react a little different on the back end of the lane. And that's what he's going through right now. He's trying to find a way to get the ball to rotate, still keep it in play, but carry those corner pins. He's making those small adjustments.
His hands. He thought he had that one, and he did.
He sure did. The problem being for both players, as you see Steve's ball, this is Wunderlich's ball going into the pocket. You can see the rotation. It's very forward. It doesn't break very sharply. That's what he needs to strike with his speed and loft. Tom Baker is arcing the ball more. Both players having a little more trouble with the right-hand lane.
Well, that appeared to get right on target, but the 4-pin is left.
You can see that point on the lane down there where Tom Baker's ball was starting to make the move, right there. Now that made it move just slightly sooner than he wanted, and that's why he left the 4-pin. And on other shots, it's got to that point and slid by. It's all where the ball enters that break point on the lane, just before it turns into the pocket. Tom bothered by something there, and being the professional he is, he stepped off the lane, got reset, cross lane at the 4-pin.
Baker leading by 7. His last PBA victory was the '85 Budweiser Classic on the fall tour. Baker leading by 7 as we move into the 7th frame of this championship match.
The 4 crucial frames where you set up whether you either win or lose usually starts in the 7th frame. Key shots. The players should be all lined up by now. They should have a good idea what they're trying to do. Now let's see who performs under pressure for the championship.
strike in the 7th for Baker.
Steve Wunderlich has rolled 24 300 games in his career, including 4 this year. He and Steve Cook led the touring players for the year. And he was in the TV finals 4 times last year, winning the senior touring pro doubles with Les Zykes. And he also captured the ABC Masters 10-pin. Again, I'll mention that Wunderlich, who is upset with himself right now, is trying to win his first ever PBA singles title here in Rochester today.
Again, really, really great fundamentals by Steve. He made the shot he wanted to make. He's had 7 consecutive shots in the pocket. He's only carried 2 of them. Not really Steve's day to this point. He had the chance to take the lead if he'd have struck there. Now he has to work hard on the spare. And start over again on lane 33 with a strike there and hope that Tom waits for him.
Well, he's obviously very frustrated, Earl, at this time. He makes
but he's
no
got to
bones
stay
about
up.
that.
He's got to stay up. He's got to get in there and keep working. He knows that. He'll give it every bit of effort, every bit of finesse, whatever it's necessary to strike here. You can bet Steve's going to put it all into the shot.
Wunderlich down by 7. Baker trying to come from the number 3 spot to win it all. And a telephone. Somebody should take that off the hook. I don't know where that telephone is, but that bothered him.
Was that from the racetrack, one of your bets?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Just thought I'd check. Again, he's going to take his time, get set. Deep breath. We're getting into the must-strike situations now, late in the match. 8th frame. Got it. Great concentration shown by Steve Wunderlich to come back, reset himself, and make that crucial shot in the 8th frame. Tom Baker with a chance now on the most difficult of the 2 lanes, lane 34, to take an increased lead from 7 to 17 pins with a strike here.
Wunderlich working with that steel brush on his left shoe.
Doesn't want anything to go wrong right now. He doesn't want to stick, doesn't want to slip. Very important. The bowler has that firm foundation when he's at the foul line.
For Baker.
The difference has been in every match up to this point for Tom Baker, his ability to make that tee shot on the difficult lane, lane 34, that's given him that little edge over the other players. He has been able to strike when the other players haven't.
Baker, in case you're just joining us, defeated Pedersen 230 to 173, and then Walter Ray Williams Jr. 198 to 189. He leads by 17. There it is again, Earl.
It is, and it's on his
problems over
favorite
there
lane.
on 33.
That's his favorite lane. He's made his best shots on lane 33. He's got most of his strikes on lane 33, and I think Tom just had a little lapse in concentration. He let it get away. He had so much concentration on lane 34 to get that key strike. He let the ball get away from him on 33.
The same spare that he picked up in frame 4. And he picks it up here in the 9th.
Pin count becoming very important at this point. As you can see, if Baker continues to lose pin count, he's going to eliminate one of those doubles that he's worked so hard to get. Steve Wunderlich down by 14 pins with a strike and make it 4. If he can strike on lane 34, he has the advantage of finishing on lane 33, the best lane for the 2 players.
Strike for Wunderlich and the double for him. And the lead is down to 4 pins.
And in every match, there tends to be a key shot. And it may sound redundant at this point, but in the 9th frame on lane 34, when Steve Wunderlich got that strike, it set him up to win the championship with nothing Baker can do about it but sit on the bench and watch. If Steve Wunderlich gets 2 strikes, the next 2 balls on his easy lane, lane 33, he will lock out Tom Baker for the championship in $27,000.
That's the story right there. Wunderlich down by 4 pins to Baker.
And the 7 wouldn't go.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He threw the ball as well as he could throw it. When he let go, he knew he threw it well. He had 3 pins run up and down the side of that 7 pin, and nothing knocked it down. Watch the replay. Steve likes it when he lets go. You can see he got good lift, good rotation on the ball. Watch the pins all go to the corner. 3 of them running up and down the side of that 7 pin, and nothing knocked it over. That could be the championship. What a shame. Hook. Oh, made me nervous there, Jay.
It just got there.
Again, as I mentioned about 2 frames ago, the pin count is becoming very important. Steve Wunderlich can get a strike here for 207, the final score. Tom Baker going at a 212 clip. If he should get that poor count on lane 34 that he has in the past, it could become a very tight match.
He knew he didn't like that one particularly, but he's going to end up at 205.
Tom Baker needs a mark, a spare or a strike. He knows that, and he knows lane 34 has been his nemesis. This has been the difficult lane for him. Remember, he's had some balls slide by the head pin. He's had some that hooked early and went a little high on the head pin. If I were to guess which way he'll miss, he'd miss right. He doesn't want to split here. A split could cost him the championship.
All right, it wasn't very pretty, but they all went down.
Unbelievable. Steve Wunderlich threw every ball in the pocket throughout the match. Came down to a crucial shot. It was the worst shot Tom Baker made in 3 games, Jay, and they all fell down.
But the man from Buffalo, Tom Baker, has battled through with wins over Pedersen, Williams, and now Wunderlich. It's the 7th PBA title for Mr. Baker, and boy, is Lisa a happy lady. Back to pass out the prizes here in Rochester right after this.
Smile.
The Invitational Trophy. And there is our winner. Tom Baker, his wife Lisa, William K. Pedersen, Vice President Marketing Communications Services of Kodak, presents the trophy along with a check for $27,000 as Tom Baker has won his 7th PBA title. Well, it's been a marvelous week here in Rochester. The PBA Fall Tour has been sponsored by Kodak's VR35 cameras, the easy way to shoot great 35mm pictures. By Dodge, America's best back trucks are ramped up. By True Value Hardware, more than just a name, it's their way of doing business. And by Bud Light, everything else is just a light. A reminder that the $135,000 True Value PBA Open will come your way from the Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis, Indiana, next Saturday afternoon, and we hope you'll join us. This telecast has been a production of Bud Sports and the PBA Incorporated in association with NBC Sports. For Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph, so long from Rochester.
PBT.